Good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Justin Snedden, and I am also known as Stormcab Birds on YouTube. I'm a vlogger, a bird photographer and videographer. And just to let you know, I'm starting my vlog at my local nature reserve. This is the first vlog, it's an introduction. I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going for it. I'm recording the sound onto a DJI mic, so there's going to be a lot of background sound. And we're just going to play it by ear, see how it goes, and get this vlog up and running. I've been meaning to start one since I started my YouTube channel in February 2024, but people told me it would be too much work to do vlogs and a podcast. And now I'm in the swing of things with my YouTube channel. I am going to get this ball rolling. Now, at the moment, sorry, the noises you hear, I'm just getting out of my taxi. I'm a London black taxi driver, as well as being a bird vlogger. But the taxi stuff actually pays the bills. I'm just taking my stuff out. This is my tripod, my big new video tripod I did a vlog on recently. And I'm just gearing up, ready for the walk through my local reserve. So the way I'm going to structure these podcasts for the moment, because it could go in many different directions, but I was inspired by Chris Packham, who's a UK nature presenter with the BBC, videographer, photographer. And back during that 4-year period we had, 3-4 year period, from about 2020 onwards, we won't mention the names and get any kind of demonetization straight away. He did a walk in nature BBC program holding one of those 360-degree cameras. And he just filmed himself walking through nature, listening to the sounds, talking about what he was looking at, what he was hearing. And I thought, yeah, well, and it did pretty well. And I thought, why can't I do something like that? And it's probably better in podcast overall because you don't have to hold a camera up. You can just sort of keep your hands free. So what I can do is I can, get my binoculars, my camera, I can, take pictures, show you what can't show you because we're not in a video. I can tell you what I'm looking at and have you involved in it. And the benefit of the podcast, I love podcasts, is that you don't actually have to watch them. So here comes a clip from my camera. Yep. You can listen to them anywhere, on a plane, on a train, at home when it's quiet, anywhere, you're sitting in your car, which you can't do with video. So at the moment, like I said, I'm at Crossness opposite. There's a lot of trucks going by because there's a lot of development. There's a big Asda storage depot and a couple of other things. So there's constant work going on. So I'm just gearing up all my stuff, make sure I've got everything on my second phone. And what I will use my phones for, I will probably keep things like notes that I might want to talk about. For instance, I think bird news is quite interesting stuff. So I'll do like UK bird news, world bird news. Maybe I'll have more people listening. This might even turn into video one day, who knows? So I've just locked up and we're going to walk into the reserve. Got my tripod out ready. Again, this is not going to be like your ordinary podcast because they do it in a studio. And when you're in a studio, you usually got soundproofing. You talk very close to the mic to reduce background noise. And this is going to involve lots of background sounds. And I just walked past some nettles, some stinging nettles, rubbed against my arm, and now my arm is tingling. I stood a bit too close there. Yeah, there's a lot of growth at this time of year. And I've got my long trousers on, even in this heat, high 20 degrees Celsius. Just going through the front gate at Norman Road Field. For all of you who are familiar with the area, and anybody not, they can look it up. So Crossness is in Erith, in London, technically London, but the borders of London and Kent. I think it used to be Kent. It's still a Kent address, but I think when they built the M25, it became part of London. So what's going on? Nothing going on. I can't hear any birds at the moment. It's nice and cloudy. This is why I'm out today, because the heat has just been... I don't mind the heat if there's cloud cover, but it's when the sun is cooking you that it gets a bit harsh. So we're just scanning around as I usually do. Keep your eyes peeled if you've been watching my vlogs. That's what I always say. Don't just walk in a straight line and stare straight ahead. Always be looking up and around you. Every 30 seconds, every couple of minutes or whatever, just turn and look up in the sky, look for little black dots. And that's a little flicking thing there. Let's have a look, see if it lands, and then I can... No, it didn't land. I'm going to go for, that was a goldfinch anyway. A European goldfinch. I have to consider that I'll be talking to a global audience. So when I've posted goldfinch pictures onto X and social media, I've had some people say to me, that's not a goldfinch. And I looked, no, he's American. So there's an American goldfinch and a European goldfinch. And I have just seen a flock. So if they do fly by me, you might hear them. But remember, I've got my camera on me and I've just got the lens cap on, which is not a great start. Yeah, definitely goldfinch, yeah, 3 of them there. Wood pigeon. But yeah, I'm going to be taking pictures. So the editing of all this is going to be, I'm just going to be learning as I go, because what might happen is, say for instance, somebody walks up and starts speaking to me. I don't want to include that. I mean, I could do it. I could say to them, look, I'm recording a podcast. Do you mind if I just leave all this in? Do you care? So again, I don't know about the format. I'm going to keep doing it, upload it, see if it gets any traction. And then you can, put into the comments what's missing, what you'd like to hear, leave that out. Not interested in that, or, but then it has to be a balance, because a lot of people might say they like this particular thing. If a few people say they don't, well, I've got to consider more people like this. I've got to move things around a bit to try and figure it out. But it's a lovely breeze for a change. Anything going on? So yesterday, I hadn't been down for a while. I came down here, and I'm down today because the tide is just about to come in, so we should get some good shorebirds. Yesterday when I came here, you'll see the images on my X account, storm-cab birds also. I got some buzzards for the first time in a while. And when I photographed them, I only just got them onto my computer today and put them side by side. And sure enough, 3 different buzzards, which is very impressive for kind of London borders of Kent, to get buzzards like that. So yes, and really good. I angled them so I could double check that all of the markings were different. I think there might have even been a 4th, because I was moving my head around. I went, oh, there's one there, and I've just seen 3 go over that way. So I think, yeah, so I'm just going to talk you through. There's a gull up there. Let's have a look through the binoculars. Oh, it's kind of hovering. What is it? That looks like a lesser blackback, because it's got slightly greyer wings. And I think I saw yellow legs. So we do get the more European yellow-legged gull down this way. And they've got yellow legs. And if you're unfamiliar with how to differentiate them, the yellow-legged gull will have a very light coloured back, like a herring gull, and the darker back with the yellow legs indicates a lesser blacked back gull. If it's got a really dark back, a black back, oh sorry, I think that's a linnet. I'll just stand here for a second. If you're familiar with Crossness, I'm just at the old miniature horse paddock enclosure, and that's usually good for whitethroat and windchat and wheatear in the past. So I got a bit mixed up there. There's got some people coming up. Yeah, I've completely lost my train of thought. This is going to be the way. But there's no structure to this. Like I say, we're just going to walk through. We're going to... Oh yeah, I was talking about the gulls, wasn't I? So the black back, the dark black back and pink legs gives you the greater blackback gull, the biggest gull. And I remember when I was on a trip to Wales once, they said to us, they're thinking of reclassifying them as raptors because they're pretty, they can, I mean, there's images online, video of one swallowing a rabbit whole. Yes, they're that big. And the herring gull has the pink legs and the light back. So after a couple of years, you'll get good at identifying those, telling them apart. So we've got our 3 horses here, for those who know. I'm not sure the ownership of the land here, the reserve, but the owner keeps multiple horses in different fields. So it's always nice to walk past those every day. It's always been a great thing. Yeah, and they're not dangerous. I mean, they're obviously very big things, but never felt threatened. If you move too quickly, they get startled. So they're more scared of you than you are of them. And yesterday they did pretty well. I saw the peregrine falcons on the incinerator, the recycling bin. I mean, the recycling bin, the recycling plant. There's a big recycling plant down here, and it's been a hotspot for peregrines for the 5 years I've been a birder. And with my 4K crop on my Canon R7 and 200 to 800 millimeter lens, I'm just remembering now that for those who haven't seen my YouTube channel, anything I've done, I've got to I've got to remember that none of you know what I use, who I am, what I'm doing, what equipment I use. So I've got to keep that in my brain while I'm talking about this. We're just going through the gate in Norman Road Field, through to the lagoon area. Try not to slam that too much and scare whatever birds there are. There's a ice cream van in the distance. Some ice cream from Italy. Don't start singing, Justin. Let's not start that. Yeah, this is all overgrown. Yeah, we've got a lot of movement here. We've got, I think linnets and goldfinch. And there are a lot of whitethroats and reed warblers on this path from the south to the north of the reserve, all nesting. It's all grown. That's why I'm wearing my long trousers, even in its heat, because who knows what's in this grass and scratching me, nettles and all sorts. Yeah, that's good for common linnets here. No buzzards today. Just check through the binoculars. Just landed on some bushes over there feeding. Other than that, I've seen wood pigeon, magpie. Yeah, they'll get a bit more exciting once I get to the river. In this heat, there's no water anywhere, no puddles. So most of the best stuff's going to be in rivers and lakes and things like that for birds. Is that just looking at the... Yeah, I can't get a clear view. It's quite windy today. I'm not really going to get any great footage. I better check my camera settings. Where am I? Okay, I've got it. Oops, sorry. I'm going to talk too loud to the microphone. I've got to remember that. I've just angled my head down to look into my viewfinder and probably shouted into the microphone. So I'm just adjusting for the cloudy settings so that if a bird flies past, currently I'm at 1/4000th of a second and 4000 ISO, which should take care of most birds flying past me. And if you can, pop to my YouTube channel and see what I'm about. Catch up on all the... Oh, I can hear some juveniles in the bush over there. They're not going to come out. But if you pop to my YouTube channel, if you don't know who I am, check out some of my stuff and then you can get up to speed. I travel a lot. I go to Europe. I've done birding only from what? Okay, let's give you from the start of the birding. So it was 2020, as you know, and we all got locked inside. And I've been doing a bit of photography on and off for 5 years. Since the early 2000s, pardon me. And when they locked us down, I thought, okay, what do I do now? I've got to do things inside the home. So I went online and bought myself a model kit, an F14 Tomcat. I thought that'll take 3 months to build. I'll build it nice and slowly. I got really into my Rubik's Cube that I got bought for me my 40th birthday. I needed to learn how to solve that. And what can I do in the garden outside? What can I photograph? Okay, photograph birds. So let's buy some feeders. I went online in secondhand and bought I think it was a 100 to 400 lens. And I had, what was it at the time? I think I was at a Canon 6D, full frame, and put feeders up and had some fun. And then when I got my first bird that I didn't recognize, I'd never really noticed or seen before, it was a dunnock. I was like, oh, that looks different. What's that? That's not a sparrow. That's got different coloring. And oh, sorry, just interruption here. I've just turned left to the first view screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some video of it to put in a vlog. I'm going to be jumping all over the place here. Sorry. what I'm looking at is there's a big pile of feathers spread all over the ground, and it looks like a wood pigeon, and that will probably mean a sparrowhawk has caught it and had it for breakfast. There you go. Yeah, so I'll put this in my next vlog so you can actually see this. And I'm going to have to get used to remembering to film stuff for vlogs, talking to you about it, and cross-referencing between the two different formats. It's going to be fun. I'll get into a flow. I'll definitely get into a flow. And if anybody says, oh, you forgot to mention, or how comes you didn't film that so we could see it? This will progress over time. I will get better at it. Yeah, it would have been great. I haven't seen any sparrow. I did really well with sparrowhawks at the beginning of the year. That Warnham, one landed on my house, and then suddenly it's been very, very quiet. And what's that? That looks like a pochard coming into land on one of the lagoons. Is a great breach lagoon, as we call it down here. Oh, more feathers there from that wood pigeon that was taken down by a sparrowhawk. And I'm just looking at the first view screen. You can hear the kind of sound bouncing off the screen. And usually at the back there'll be mallards, tufted ducks. You can see mallards and tufted, yep. Occasional pochards, common pochards. There'll be little grebes, swans. What do we got flying around? Yeah, some more gulls. No raptors as of yet. There's lots of goldfinch and linnets. So let's keep this talking going so that there are no big gaps. So what else can I say? Yeah, go on my YouTube, check out my stuff, and when I upload this finally, I still don't know what I'm doing with that. What I chose to do today was to record this, and then I'm going to get on Apple, Spotify and all that and see what their upload process is. What I need to do to this audio to make it viable to upload, I don't know. I'm going to record the audio first, and we'll go from there. I'm sure it's pretty easy. But like I said, I saw there was a gap in the market. I want to increase my exposure, and maybe some people don't watch YouTube. And I think podcast is the way, especially as there's a big gap in the market. I've looked up, there are a few, but they're not very regular. It's not any kind of format that's like this, where they're out in nature. You're going to actually hear the birds. You're going to hear me talking about what I'm seeing. Anything going on? That's just probably black-headed gulls, which is probably the most regular bird here in the UK, especially down here in Erith. Anything else? I'm just looking on the right of this horse paddock where earlier in the year we had an amazing show from a male and female black redstart, and using pre-capture, raw image bursts, sorry, that's what Canon call it, but it's kind of, to explain it would be raw image bursts. I'm currently making a vlog about it. It's basically where you can take pictures half a second before you press the shutter button. It keeps taking them continuously. And if the bird flies off, you've caught it. It's like going back in time and taking the photos before you press the shutter button. And it has its ups and downs, pros and cons. It's not the magic pill. There are disadvantages to it that I will speak about in the vlog. I'm currently putting that together. I'm doing a lot of vlogs on camera settings, camera reviews of equipment, particularly camera settings, because I think a lot of people, when I speak to them on X and stuff like that, they ask me, how did you do that? What's this thing you're doing? What were your numbers for video? A lot of people don't know settings. A lot of people don't even touch video with bird photography and bird video vlogs because they find it too complicated. And it is very fiddly. It's another level, because as I'm walking around doing stuff, I've got to consider, do I take a photo of this? Do I take video of that? Do I do video slow-mo, normal speed? Do I take high-speed photo? Yeah, there's a lot to think about, and it has to get to the point where you're not thinking about it. It becomes muscle memory. So you can literally just put your hands on your camera and flick the dials without even thinking which way they're supposed to go. You're like, oh yeah, I need video. Shit, flick that. Right, we're on video, ready. Okay, what do we got? Yeah, just gulls. Don't worry, once we get up to the river, we will see a lot more species. We're expecting black-tailed godwits, oyster catchers, tufties. Last year, yesterday, you know what? I'm not going to say any names for now. I'll get the okay from those people, because I want to mention names. But certain birder who lives in the borough and regularly posts, he spotted a Franklin's gull, super rare. I think it was the second record for London ever. Spotted it last summer, yesterday, from a year from yesterday. So we're looking to see if it's returned, because up on the Thames we've had a returning ruddy shelduck and a returning Cape shelduck, a South African shelduck. So if you can hear that noise, that's the fan, the water pump from the protected area. We have a members only protected area here, which is good for keeping dog walkers and other people out, but people have broke in and damaged it, as people do. There you go. Let's not get into that. But yeah, it needs some WD-40, I think. But yeah, we've had Cape shelduck and ruddy shelduck, Franklin's gull. It's a really good little reserve. Very lucky to have it. And if I'm short on time, I can just pop down here for 10-minute drive, have a quick walk through. And before I come, I always check the tide times. If I know I'm going to come down that day, then I won't go out when the tide is completely out, because a lot of the birds will be feeding on the edge of the mud. So I wait till the tide's about 3.5 hours before it gets all the way in. And that's usually the best for capturing the birds, video and photography. You go too long, you allow the tide to come in too much, and more of the exciting birds will get a bit worried about being pushed too close to the walls, and they'll fly away and roost somewhere and wait till the tide goes back out. So you both, after a few years, you get into a little balance of knowing when the perfect little time slot is for the tides to get down here for the most numbers. Yeah, this is a bit quiet, the path here. There's usually things feeding on the ground along this path up to the sea wall, as we call it. And no peregrine. Now the construction of the new factory here. Oh, what's that? Always look out for shadow. Shadow just went along the floor. So if I'm facing down, that's always one of the giveaways that there's a bird about. Look for shadows. Yeah, I was going to make a video on bird, how to spot birds, how to be a better birder, bird watching techniques, how to find them, how you should, stop every few minutes and just stare. If you see some movement in a tree, stop and stare at it, because as you move, everything moves. But if you stop and stare and let your eyes defocus, you'll catch the movement. Yeah, butterfly, little white butterflies. Everyone gets obsessed because it's quite quiet. Oh, there's a little coot in the water there, just along the path. It's usually got some chicks down there. They're not too scared, these coots. Usually on bigger lakes and bigger reserves, these things will do that running on the water thing, a bit like Dash in The Incredibles. And they see you half a mile away, but these ones, you can get within 10 feet of them, and they're quite relaxed. Yeah, there's been a kingfisher here. Haven't seen it for ages. Anything? No, good for water voles as well. Good spot. I haven't seen any water voles the last year or two. Usually I can look along that bank and find 3 or 4. So you might start hearing some louder construction noise on the right, the big quarry development, which we've been trying to fight and protest about. Just going through the gates, which stops any cars and motorcycles going through here. Motorcycles aren't supposed to go on the Thames path, but they do. I'll be standing there doing a vlog and you just hear and grit your teeth. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's all these cranes and chimneys they got here. I suppose it's good for the peregrines do perch up there often. Gives them some vantage points. Yeah. I know this mic won't be picking up much of it. It's pretty good. It's quite windy as well, but this mic is brilliant. The DJI mic 2. Yeah, nothing of this. Very quiet, even though it's cloudy. Usually the birds don't come out when it's super bright conditions from the sun. Another gull passing by. Don't worry, we're almost at the seawall and we will be able to get some numbers finally. Just have a look at those things. See, whenever I see a bird or dot flying in the distance, you get into a habit of ignoring. You really should, I've said this in my vlogs, you really should check everything. One of my best ones, I might have been this year, I think it was this year, where I set my camera on electronic shutter mode, 1/4000th of a second, and then whatever ISO I need in manual mode to capture small birds. And I was over on the Isle of Sheppey and I was just hitting small birds as they went past really quickly out of nowhere. And I got one, I was like, what is that? It's like, had a kind of red underbelly. I couldn't put my finger on it. It's like this. And I put it online and it turned out to be a water pipit, which had been a bogey bird for me. Bogey bird, if you don't know the term, is one you should have got a long time ago. It should be quite easy to get, but you just seem to keep missing it. And that was one of them. Another one of mine at the moment is one of the remaining ones, at least probably the bigger one, would be a little gull. I keep seeing them pop up at different reserves, and when I get there, I either can't see it or I miss it. But yeah, so that gets me, that technique of checking every bird, or as many birds as possible, gets me lifers that I didn't expect. So, well, I'm already getting the smell. And if you've never been to Crossness, it is the Crossness sewage treatment plant. Sewage treatment works. If you've been here, you know. But it has a certain aroma. And if you get it on the wrong day with the wrong wind direction, oh boy, yes, that'll put hairs on your chest. I remember the first time I brought my wife here, I was walking with her and I looked to my right and she'd gone. I looked back, she was walking the other way. She was like, no, I can't do this. What is that smell? And every so often I'll say to her, do you want to pop down to Crossness? And I just know because of the smell, she just doesn't want to know. Anyway, let's get back to the birds. So I've just got to the seawall and we've got lots going on. Let's start getting the binoculars up. Okay, we got black-headed gulls, gadwalls and mallards. And I forgot I was talking about it earlier, the Franklin's gull. I think it's an American gull. It was spotted last year yesterday. So we're hoping like the Cape shelduck and the ruddy shelduck that it's returned, because birds tend to do that. So at the moment, big flock of starlings. Again, look, I'm getting sidetracked again, but this is what this is all going to be about. This is the point of nature. It just keeps changing and happening and things going on. So it's like I've just been to see the Bonaparte's gull. It's been cut. This is its 13th summer in a row. Another American gull. What is it doing coming back here? Where does it go? Does it actually go to America and come back here? Or is it going somewhere for winter locally and nobody knows where it is? That's correct. Yeah, if you get a bird, I mean, I've been to places like, I've just come back from Menorca and I've been there 3 times. And I go back to the same spots and there's the same bird there. That's one of the things how you spot birds, is they will come back very often to the same location year after year. So that's a good way of knowing if you want to go and see something. Okay, black-headed, gadwall. You can hear the goldfinch going mental. There's a ruddy shelduck with several juveniles, about 50% the adult size. Yeah, that goldfinch is giving it some welly. I'm always look at the top of the tower there for any kestrels. I try and get you closer to the goldfinch so you can hear it, because this mic is very good at getting rid of background sound. So a goldfinch just came in really low there. Will it? Oh no, it's a long-tailed tip. Will I get a photo? No, it's already flown over the fence. You know what I might do? I'm going to set my camera up for pre-capture, because that gives me the option to get a photo really quickly if a bird flies. So I've got to go into the settings. I'm making a video about this. Disable, enable raw image burst. Yeah, that's about that. Okay, just checking my settings. I won't bore you with too many settings at the moment. You might not be interested in that stuff. Some of you might want to learn it. And as I talk about it every now and again, if it's important, you'll pick it up. Oh, so that's another species, yeah, long-tailed tit. Anything else? It'll tell you what, it's getting very hot now. And I've got these trousers. I'm just going to go over to these steps. I've got trousers that unzip at the knee, which are great for travel. You can take them on the plane when you do short trips, and they double up. They're short-term trousers, so you can take less luggage. And I just wore this to walk through the reserve, so I don't scratch my legs, and now I can take them off because, yeah, it's amazing. If you've got your legs covered, the difference, you feel so much hotter. Okay. I'm just admiring this mural. If you look at my last Crossness vlog, I actually show some video of it. There's like a view screen on the waterfront, on the riverfront. And they've painted I'm not sure if they've attached I think what they've done is they've attached them over, so they've been painted elsewhere and they've screwed them into the screen. And it's images of sharks and jellyfish and octopus. Obviously, I want to say we don't get octopus here, but who knows? Because I was seeing some crazy looking fish yesterday feeding on stuff that comes out of the water treatment plant, and I didn't recognize them. And if you've seen any of my other vlogs, you've seen the stuff that the seals and the cormorants pull up. It's amazing what's alive in the Thames, and shows how much it's been cleaned up over the years. I mean, I grew up in the 80s in Greenwich, southeast London, maritime Greenwich. I grew up in the flats overlooking the Thames, the Cuddy Sark, and getting into all sorts of mischief on the mud out in the Thames. And I think I once saw a frog, and I thought that was amazing to see anything alive in that water. And now if you go around, even up to central London, you will see sections where there is sand, for goodness sake, on the Thames. It used to just be a muddy mess. If they clean up the environment anymore, I suppose there will be beaches on the Thames and blue water. When I was at Elmley, the Isle of Sheppey, I think a week ago, and as I was going over the bridge, I noticed how green the water was. It almost looked Mediterranean. And yeah, our water is cleaning up very, very nicely. I don't know if that's something to do with the hot weather at the moment as well. It's just something, it does something, the filtration of the water. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to keep talking while I'm taking the bottoms of the trousers off and putting them in my bag, which is laden with stuff because I'm one of those people that likes to take everything just in case. So I've got a torch, and I've got binoculars, and I've got a flask of tea, a flask of water. You know what, better take a drink before I start to dehydrate. So talk amongst yourself. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to be out for 2 hours or 5 hours. So I'll just bring as much as I can. All right, let's get walking and see what other species is on the Thames here. Oh, this weather's just right. It's still a little bit warm. Getting a bit sweaty, but yeah, I'm taking advantage of this because it's going to get hot again in a couple of days. Tomorrow it's going to rain a bit, which is another day to go out. So the way I work it is I check the weather, and if I see it's going to be very wet or very hot and sunny, then I do all my editing and I write scripts and ideas down, do my research online. And then when it's a bit more overcast and the light is better and cooler, that's when I go out and get as much video, photos and vlog as I can, ready for those hot, cold and wet days. It'd be nice to see a Mediterranean gull. They've been spotted by one of our birders a bit further along at Erith Pier. So I should, hopefully, I mean, they have been spotted here. Anything going on? On to the left of me, you usually can hear greenfinch and blackcaps. Here a cyclist going by, there you go, yeah. What's that? Is that a wood pigeon or is that a stock dove? It looks a bit grey, a bit dark grey, that is. No, they're wood pigeons. There's the white wing bars. No. More cyclists, so yeah. I've multiple times I've had tripods up or doing a vlog and they go by playing music and I've got to like take a pause and then edit that bit out. Okay, we're at the center section. Let's have a look if there are any strays. The common shelduck has pulled up with its chicks and they're all resting on the mud. There's so many black-headed gulls. So I've had to, if I'm going to find this Franklin's, if it is here, I've had to look at reference photos from last year and look at the pattern of the feathers, the molt, and what's the other one? Yeah, just what plumage it's in, and see if I can spot it. It's, from what I remember, it has more white spots on the tail than the black-headed. Nope. Can you hear the goldfinch going nuts there? No. Is it visible? Can you hear it? Yeah, there's a lot of goldfinch along the water here. And moving around in the bushes. And what are you coming in? You're doing that, yeah. Doing that thing where they glide, they put their wings out, they put their wings in. If you take a photograph of them, sometimes get that little bullet where there are no wings and it's just going through the air like a rocket. Yeah, I mean, it's up there at the top of the tree. Now, the light has just gone, the sun has gone behind a cloud. Now, if there was more light, I would record that. I'd put the tripod up and film it for the sound. But it's backlit really badly, so I won't bother with it. I want to see what the species. I'm just concentrating on the vlog today. I want to get this up and rolling and have you all tell me what you think. You know what? Let me just look down and see if it's all still rolling. Yeah, looks like the red light is on. I'm going to get back home and find none of it recorded. Yeah, I remember I had a bit of fun doing a vlog, and that happens. I had to record it 3 times. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why I wasn't recording. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna, I mean, I don't even know how that person spotted the Franklins last year. I mean, that's incredible eyesight, considering there are probably a few hundred black-headed gulls here, all with different states of plumage, juveniles, adult, you know, whatever they are, first summer, second calendar, this, and yeah, there are too many of them. I'd never do it. Let's see if we can at least find a Mediterranean. I doubt it, because I think there's only been a couple spotted. But if they usually do stand out with that more red beak, thicker beak. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you know, if you've got access to, at the moment where you are, look up Mediterranean gull, have a look at the beak. Clearly thicker than the black-headed gull. And the head is blacker and the white eye-ring is more pronounced. So down below we have just got to the outflow, which is where all the treated sewage goes. And you think, is that not bad? And you know what? I've never seen a dead bird here in 5 years. I saw one further upriver, but that could have died from anything. And so what have we got down there? We've got one with Canada geese. That's unusual to see those this close to the outflow. Canada geese. What is that? Oh yeah, the juvenile gadwall that I've been watching for the last few weeks. Yeah, almost an adult now. Several cormorants on posts preening, and grey heron. There's supposed to be a lot of black-tailed godwit here. There must be much. You know what I'll do? I'll walk further down, because the different birds congregate in different sections of the Thames. It'd be handy if they all came to the outflow here, but they often don't. The Cape shelduck and the ruddy shelduck are usually further west, towards not towards London, but in the direction of London, about a 5-minute walk. So we'll just make sure we'll have a good scan here first, and then we'll move down and see what's going on down that way. Yeah, nothing out in the water, just blackhead. I don't really, I mean, you know, bird watching is a patience thing, but I don't have the patience to scan for something like a Franklin's gull in amongst 300 black-headed. That's next level. I think maybe when you've done 30 years of bird watching and you've seen everything there is, searching like that for one singular bird with very, very slight differences becomes your thing of peace and tranquility. Yep. I'll just get in closer to the outflow and look over through the fence to see if there are any wagtails or anything on the wall. Oh wow! I've just scared a load of cormorants off. Sorry, guys. I didn't know they were all resting on the wall there. Guys, you should be used to me. You've seen I've been here taking your photos for years on end. Maybe it's this massive tripod I just bought recently. So we're going to take a walk down there. No, all the birds that flew out, they're coming back. I think, oh yeah, it's that guy. Now that's a what's that? Blue tits, yeah, blue tit making its crazy call. Anything in here? Usually on the right here, just above the outflow. Usually good for chiff-chaffs. You know what's weird? I actually haven't heard any. Another thing it's good for is Chetty's warblers. I haven't heard any for a little while. Maybe they're more of a winter thing. Crossness is really good for them. You can walk around the reserve and hear them in 20 different places. Nothing going on to you got all the cylindrical. There must be obviously the filters and the cleaners for the sewage treatment plant. I'm just guessing that they go in stages. They sort of go in one of the cylinders, and the bacteria breaks them down. Then they go on to a next stage and the next stage, and until they go out into the water, clean and good enough for all the birds to eat. And that's why we get such great birds down at Crossness. And the small birds feed the bigger birds and attract all the waders and eat the worms and the fish. Oh, yep, I just got a nice breeze of top-rate smell. Oh my, yeah, that's I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna. When I say it, you kind of get a little nostalgic for it. When I'm away somewhere and a river, and I get a slight smell of that similar smell, I go, oh, Crossness. I miss Crossness. Sick, very sick. You know, I always wondered, is it not good for you? I mean, I'm pretty healthy. I don't get sick. You know, if I push myself too hard in the gym or something, I'll get a cold. But I haven't been sick for a long time. Just been sleeping well and eating the right food. What's up there? Is that just a pigeon? Yep, feral pigeon. There are usually some wagtails, pied wagtails, on the wall on the right here, or picking flies off around these buildings of the sewage treatment plant. Yeah, I'm going along the Thames path. I'm walking along the Thames path, and big barriers there to stop cars going through, but it doesn't stop motorcyclists. Anything in there? It's always keep an eye inside behind the fence into the sewage treatment plant, because there are things that go in to feed linnets and pied wagtails. Okay, where are we now? We're just coming up the ramp at the pier outside the treatment works. Oh yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lapwings. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I got really excited there for a minute. Yeah, it's probably a dozen lapwings. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 lapwings. Nice. And those are northern lapwings for your American Caribbean folk. You've got the southern lapwing. So scan the Thames from here. Yeah, no lapwings at the outflow, and then you've got them all up here. Like I said, they all group up in different areas. Let's make it a bit further along. Butterflies taking off from everywhere. You can hear the rumble of all the pipes and generators and stuff here at the sewage treatment. The wind is blowing in an easterly direction, so I suppose once I pass the treatment plants, the smell will not be as bad. Feral pigeon, anything flying by? Nope, black-headed gull, black-headed gull. Let's go and see, the shell duck should be here, the ruddy and yep, there's a pied wagtail. Just seen it fly up from the mud. Pied wagtail. I think maybe once or twice in the past we had the white wagtail. It's a very, very subtle difference. Some people put them in the same species. If you type in pied wagtail, white wagtail, it comes up as pied wagtail. Some people don't recognize it as a different one. But there is definitely, if you look at the pictures, there's definitely a different color arrangement of the blacks and the whites. Yeah, pied wagtail just flew to the top of the sewage treatment works on the other side of the path. It's probably going to go for some, that is I think that was a sand martin or a swallow. Oh, there's a couple of, you know what, that might be worth a photograph. There are two on the wall, and at this moment, I'm at the top of the, I might try a photo. Or let me try some, I wonder if I can get the 4K video on this. Let's try this. It's very windy. We're at a distance. Yeah, because they're on the what it is, they're on the sea wall, which means that they're going to have a nice blurred out background in the video. So it's worth a little bit of video, I think. And if I do a vlog, you'll get to see what I'm seeing. Let's hit record and see if it manages it. It's looking okay. Yeah, it's looking quite nice. The adult's just taken off, so I've lost that, but there's a juvenile on the wall. Okay, there's not enough light, so I'm going to have to... Oh, it's back. This is nice footage. Oh, the adult's on the... What's that? Ah! The one just came close and I couldn't focus my camera quick enough. He might come back up in a second. Yeah, I needed a bit more... Oh, right, bloody hell. Also, excuse my language. Oh, wow. The one landed so close to him, I'm having to zoom back. Sit there just for 2 seconds, please. Let me... I might be... Oh, if I leave my camera recorded, it might follow it. No. Very, very fiddly. Okay, put it on that. And now you can walk and maybe my camera will follow you. Our cyclist just came through and ruined everything. Don't you just love cyclists and dog walkers as a birder? And if you're either of those and a birder, I'm not going to get much love from that, am I? Okay. Well, there's a few seconds there. What I tend to do is obviously I'm not going to get enough footage for a whole vlog in one go. So what I tend to do with Crossness particularly is I'll film over even weeks and I'll collect lots of little segments of footage and then do a vlog and put them all together. And I'll say 3 weeks ago I saw this, and then on the 21st of that I saw this. We were surprised by this visitor from over in Rainham Marshes or something like that. Okay, let's get the camera off the tripod and carry on walking. I'm just going to check what's down there. I can get right over the wall. I can look right over the wall and see what's going on. We've got a couple of Egyptian geese. Black-headeds. Yeah, there's a lot of birds further down. I can see an oyster catcher flying. Oh yeah, the pied wagtail's back on the wall. I might try for another bit of footage of that. No, it's flown over. Okay. Now what I must remember is to switch back to photo mode, because I ideally want to be ready for birds. So I don't want to be, basically I don't want my camera left in video mode. If a bird suddenly appears and I've got half a second to get anything, video is too slow and I want to photograph. So I've got it on 4,000th of a second. The sun is out a bit more and I'm down to about 1600 to 2000 ISO on my f9 slow lens, but I made multiple videos about this lens, and people are battling me online saying that it's not as good as the 100 to 500. And ultimately I agree that the 100 to 500, even though I've not used it, I've seen samples online that is the sharper lens, but ultimately reach wins for me. Where is wildlife most of the time? It's far away and you need reach, and the other things that you work around the other problems that the lens can't handle. You can't handle low light very well. So you just don't photograph in those much lower light conditions. But yeah, reach, I mean, if you look at my photos compared to most others that have 500, 600 millimeter lenses, you don't see anybody who gets photos as close as I do. because that 800 multiplied by the crop factor on my R7 gives it a 60% greater reach. And then there's a mode in the video which, if you're familiar with my vlogs, you'll hear me go on and on about, because it's literally magic. It uses a smaller part of the lens to record video, which magnifies it even more. It magnifies it by 1.81 on top of the 1.6, which takes an 800mm lens to 2300 millimeters and just gets close on everything. Sometimes even that's not enough. So that tells you that 500mm, a lens that's that short, is just, it's not going to cut it. And for me, reach wins every time. And they say, oh, I have both. And so, well, for one, it's a budget consideration. I can't afford two lenses. I can't afford a full frame camera. You know, I mean, I could, if I stretched to, I could borrow the money or whatever. But, you know, I see people spending silly money on cameras, and that's their choice. It's up to them to spend that. But, you know, if you can't get good pictures with one camera and one lens, then it's the photographer, it's not the equipment. Because I've seen photos. I watch Facebook and X like a hawk, pardon the pun, and I know what people have, their cameras, their lenses, and I'm like, you've got a $4,000 camera and you've got a $12,000 lens. You're telling me that's the photo you took? That looks like it was taken on an iPhone. And it makes me angry, not that I'm jealous, it's that these people don't know how to use it. They think they've spent the money on that because they can afford it, and they think that's going to get them the photograph, that's going to get them better pictures. And it's not. You know, a professional could take some cheap kit lens and go against someone who doesn't know what they're doing with a $12,000 lens and a $5,000 camera, and the pro would wipe them off the map. It's skill. It's not the equipment. And black-headed further down now towards the old. It's in different. I believe there are 3 different sections of the Crossness sewage treatment plant. There is the original one, I think it's the Victorian era, if I'm not mistaken. Inside it looks like a music hall, like an old London music hall. And then there was the other one which shut down, and then I think. But you can visit this one. You have to go to the website and come to the Crossness Engines Industrial Museum, it's called here. I'll say the telephone number. I don't know if this is the same one anymore. It says 020 8311 3711. And you can tour it's stunning inside here. Look at the images online on the website. Just check I'm still recording. Yep. I've never recorded anything this long before, so this is going to be an interesting test to see if it all goes well. This is not like a trip to Costa Rica where this absolutely has to come out. This is an experimentation. And the mistakes made now, when I go abroad, I'll remember what happened the first few episodes you did. You didn't make this setting, this adjustment, you didn't consider this. And you work out the kinks nice and early on. Waterloo sunset. See, I said kinks and then I sung the song. Into the little reservoir here. Sometimes there has been a kingfisher in here in the past. Let me just have a scan. Never discount anything. I almost like it when people say, oh, I saw nothing there today. And say, watch this, I'll find something. And even if it's something quite dull, we'll then try and take a nice picture of it in an unusual way. Okay, yeah, it looks like a juvenile coot. No, it's a juvenile moorhen. So I'm not good at picking up the juveniles or the moorhens or the coots. They look very similar. I must, as provider of bird information for you, I should learn that, and then I can pass it on. There's probably little subtle cues. All right, so we're just coming up to what's the old golf centre. And looking over the wall, what do we got? Oh yeah, 2 oyster catchers. So I just put my head down on my tripod not to scare them off, because it's a big old tripod. Yeah, a couple of oyster catchers. I'm going to partially hide myself with this people and bike sign. Right, okay, so we've got shell duck. Oh, they're all, you can hear them running in the mud, they've seen me. Let's just look down there. Okay, the oyster catchers, there. Nothing down in the mud there. Wood pigeon taken off. Those are some sort of gulls. I'm not good at, they're in like kind of juvenile or plumages I don't recognise. But it's basically quite quiet. You can hear the plane, that's the city airport. We're in the pretty much in the flight path of the city airport. There's the old golf course. And we're sort of more on the borders now of Thamesmead. Have a look through the viewing screen. Yeah, just lots of common shelduck with juveniles and chicks in various age groups. Yeah, nothing, that's it. Yeah, pretty quiet. Nope. See all the footprints in the mud. I'll just go along to the golf course because I did some raw image burst shots here, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there was lots of goldfinch and robins and linnets, and I can see something. Yeah, I can see something. I was right. Yeah. No, I can't see something. That's a bit of plant. Something on the top of a mat on a fence. We all do that, don't we, as birders? Like, oh, what's that sticking up? And then you get a bit closer, and it's just a bit of plant. But as the birders that you are, you know that you still check everything, because there has been times where, you know, even down here, I remember years ago, there was a white thing in the tree, and I'm like, oh, how great would that be if it's a barn owl and it's going to be a white plastic bag? And I checked it. It wasn't a white plastic bag. It was a barn owl. And yeah, I couldn't have tried to grab my camera fast enough. Oh no, there is a, see, I told you. Yeah, what is that? That is, I think it's a house sparrow. I'm just using my mini binoculars, which just gets me a quick look. But I'm going to need my Why are you taking off? See, all the shelduck just took off. Now, if birds take off, always look up. Some things, if they've taken off from the water, sometimes if they're big birds, it means there's a seal. And if they're smaller birds, it's probably a bird of prey. This is known for sparrowhawks and peregrines around here. So yeah, that bird on the fence over there is a female house sparrow. Now what's that? That's bird making the call. It's got dark wings from this angle. So is it a lesser or is it a greater? I can't tell. It's quite silhouetted. Somebody listening to this call, like the birder down here that's known for, I'm not mentioning names, the birder down here known for being an expert on gulls will know. But it's like, I don't know what it's doing, it's flying in circles making an alarm call or something like that. Can you hear that? You know what, let's get Merlin open and see if it can identify it. Okay, Merlin, do your thing. And that's when the bird chooses to fly out to the middle of the river and can't hear it anymore. Now, cyclist just went by. Oh, it obviously doesn't like me because the cyclist went by and the bird didn't move. And then I tried to get closer, not even as close as the bike, and it jumped off the fence. They don't like being photographed. Let's have another. There's some bits and pieces on the edge of the mud. Yeah, just a mallard out in the river. I can see across the water into sort of the Essex area. I would go over there more often, but it costs £2.50 to go over the Dartford crossing and then back again. And that would normally, that £5 would pay for fuel to go somewhere else. So there we've got a motorcycle going along this path. It annoys the heck out of me. Yeah, it's a nice peaceful walk on the path, and this is where these people choose to ride their motorcycles. And yeah, I think we've gone far enough. There's nothing going on down here. Oh, and this idiot's coming back. Sorry. I better make sure not to call people names, get into that habit. What is he up to? Very suspicious. Completely covered in black. Yeah, it does concern me walking around with a big camera and tripod, but I almost think, well, if they see the tripod, then they're not going to do anything squirrely. And to be honest, birders, I've never heard of a birder being robbed for their camera. What's that? Is that just a goldfinch? It is a goldfinch. You know what? Oh no, it's flown. I thought it was just sitting on the fence with a nice bit of tree in the background, so it wasn't silhouetted. It would have been a nice bit of video, but yeah, it's gone already. But I've never heard of it. It's not a thing. I don't hear of bird watchers being robbed. It might just be thieves and things like that, muggers concentrate in cities. They don't usually go out to the countryside. And I suppose because people have cameras and they're on part groups and that, it's very risky. And people out in the countryside, if they probably live out there and they'll be known. Whereas in the city, people probably travel into the city to do it. And so they won't live in the city and can be tracked down. I don't know, just all guesswork. But I've never kind of really felt any threat. I mean, I suppose I'm lucky. I'm 6'1", and if I had to, it's a big heavy tripod and camera. Anyway, we're getting a bit off track here. It's what happens when I do my vlogs sometimes. I go off talking about something and I'm sitting down editing. I'm like, why would people care about this? Erase it. When you're some sort of a creative, you're a filmmaker or something like that, you don't usually do the editing. You leave that to somebody else because you can get into the bad habit of putting stuff in because you want to include everything you filmed, everything you recorded. And you don't understand it has to be interesting to people. You need to, I think the famous one was Jaws. It was edited in such a way. Steven Spielberg filmed it, did all the video, all the filming, but he gave the editing over to somebody else. And they did the job they did, making it the iconic film it is. And yeah, I mean, the shark was fake looking. The shark was very fake, but that actually made the film better because what they did was introduce that fear factor of you never got to see the shark, right up until the end. Most of the end, you saw bits of it. You got the hints of it at the beginning, and every so often you see a bit of tail, a bit of teeth, a bit of fin, until right at the end, a bit like Predator. Again, I'm going off on a weird tangent here. Hang on, are those terns? Listening. I know terns like to feed in this reservoir. I'm going back now towards the reserve. I've gone to the very end where the golf course is. I'm going back because it's a bit quiet. Oh, hello. What's making that? I don't recognise that call. It's probably just there are turnstones and not turn. You know what? I keep getting that wrong. I've had to erase those from so many videos. I keep calling. Let me get this right. I keep calling moorhens turnstones. Anybody else do that? Moorhens and coots. Moorhens and coots. Moorhens and coots. Get that into your head. Oh, wood pigeon. Yep, just sitting on the fence right in front of me. There's some graffiti on the wall. Come and, what does it say? You know what? I don't even know what that says. Come and move on. What I'm just doing, I'm trying to get you to hopefully sort of visualize the place through audio. So you've got on the left as I walk east on the Thames path, I can't actually see the water at this point opposite the old Crossness engines because the concrete wall is about 8 feet, 7 to 8 feet high. And then on the right, the engine's all protected with a metal gate. So at this point, I can't see anything. And it's just walking to the viewing spots. And on the right, I'm looking at the Crossness engines. And there are lots of old bits of machinery and engine, all rusted, all looking like they've come out of a ship, a warship or something. Just sitting outside. I don't know if they're meant to do so, they're going to be put up for an exhibit, or they're just going to be left out there until they can figure out what to do with them. all these boarded up buildings. They must be grade 2 listed or something, because they're not demolishing them. I don't know if you're from another part of the world, if you're wondering what that is. The grading, I'll probably get it wrong as well, but when it's grade 2 listed, no matter how sort of run down it is or whatever, the building has to be kept. It's got some sort of historical significance. I was watching, I had it on in the background last night, the Antiques Roadshow, and they were at the Stoke Newington Library, very old building, and they said it's got grade 2 listing because of some paintwork on the front. It was camouflage paintwork because it was used as some sort of military intelligence base back in Second World War. And because of that, it can't be demolished. Or I suppose the inside can be changed. Like if you ever see buildings going up, they can keep the face of the building. The face of the building has to stay the same. And it's just this panel of windows and doors. And at the back, they're putting in the more modern building. But yeah, this is just all, it's not ruins, good cleanup, and it would look really nice. Somebody will do something with it one day, if people can put up with this smell. Yes. Where are we now? We're in July, so I wonder when the change is. Yes, summer's always very, very quiet. And like I say, there is stuff. I can find stuff. I can video things in a certain way, photograph things in a certain way to make them look good. But when it's hot, when the sun is out, I suppose the main thing is I like photos and video. And when you try to film and take pictures in this weather, everything is just a mess of heat haze, especially at distance, particularly at distance. And obviously I'm using a long lens, but obviously wildlife doesn't get very close. So everything's going to be affected by heat haze. Somebody commented on one of my videos I did recently, and they said it would have been nice to see some pictures. Where was I? I was at NEP, and that was it, NEP, K-N-E-P-P, to see the white stork rewilding project, where they've got dozens of white storks, bringing them back into the wild, breeding them. They're having chicks. And I went to see that for the first time, and I didn't get any pictures because it was so hot. I was just filming for the record to do a video. Because I'll put a video up and just, there it's done. With photos, I'll keep them, but I don't want to keep photos forever that aren't as pin sharp as they could be. And for that, you need a little bit of cloud cover or cooler weather. Yeah, I'm going to try not to get too technical. I've got to, like I say, this is, again, like I say, this is all going to be new. I'm going to be going with the flow, seeing how people react to this. I've got to be aware that some people might not want to know all the technical stuff of the camera I'm talking about. I'll be talking ISO and shutter speeds and white balances, exposure compensation, manual, custom functions. Yeah, I don't know if people say, no, please, yeah, but don't spend 20 minutes talking about it. Just mention it as a byproduct. If you're taking a picture using it, quickly mention how you're doing it and move on. Maybe it'll be something like that. Because there'll be people who have no interest in photography, just like, I like a picture, that's nice. Tell me you got the picture, show me it, and then I can get on with my day. And other people like, so what was the shutter speed and how high did you have this and did you compensate? And and so what about, did you go down in increments of 1/3, stuff like that. So, maybe I'll have to do one podcast with that and one without. But bring the suggestions in. This is good fun. I'm enjoying this because it's making me aware of what's going on around me. I've just got back to the main sewage treatment plants, and there's still last stragglers. The two Egyptian geese couple is on the mud. Just check what that gull is. Let's say that is a herring gull on the pier. But I'm enjoying this because, I think it's strange. I've been listening to podcasts for years, and it seems recently they're either on holiday because it's the summer, or they've just run out of things to say. And the podcasts I listen to seem to be sort of talking about the same. They're running out of. If it's a health podcast, then they've said all these health things 10 times in different ways, so they're running out of ideas. And TV's rubbish, the news is too political, social media is too political, clickbaity, and a lot of content and engagement farming. So to stay off of that, this is why I do this. I film, do vlogs, write scripts, edit, anything to keep me off of all that stuff and make me more productive. And in the process, I pick up editing skills, photography skills. I've always wanted to, I've got to be careful here. It's not, I mean, look, I grew up on a council estate, and it's not that I want to speak better or speak. I want to be able to present myself. See, I can't even think of the terms. I just want to come across on camera better. I want to pronounce my words so people, for it slip there. I want to be able to pronounce my words better, more clearly, so that I'm understood. Because even I speak too quickly and I slur words together, and I'm like, what did I even say? So just for the sake of appearing more well-spoken on camera, I want that. I want to slow down my speaking. What we got there on me, that's a tortoise-shell butterfly. See, I do know some of these names, but in the summer when it gets very quiet, all the birders become obsessed with insects and butterflies. And I could not care less. Sorry. So that's, you do you, folks, you do you. But I'm just like, there's still birds to find. But yeah, I want to just come across better on camera. Because I watch myself afterwards and cringe and want to improve slightly. I'm not going to be one of those people that say, don't want to forget my roots. I was listening to Danny Dyer. One of my favourite comedians is Mickey Flanagan, obviously. Not because he's kind of from the sort of more of the area I am. But yeah, he speaks the way he's always spoken. And I suppose in those kind of areas, you don't want to be seen as getting above yourself. But I've got a weird accent. People say often when I'm driving my taxi, people say I sound Australian. And what happened was I had a habit when I was a kid of sort of picking up the ways of speaking and little things, the way people did things on TV and films and music videos, TV shows, films. I said films about 8 times there, didn't I? But one of my first video cassettes, VHS cassettes, yeah, this is before a lot of your time. See, I've even said that wrong. How would I say that correctly? This is before the lot. No, I can't even think how to say that properly. Let's change the wording around a little bit. For a lot of you, this is way before your time. Yeah, that's probably a bit better. If you're younger than 40, you probably won't know. Crocodile Dundee, that's the film I had. I watched that over and over. Kids watch things over and over and over. Of course, I love Star Wars. That was my main one. That's where I got the Storm cab from. Stormtrooper, Storm, and then my cab, and that became my username. I've got a cab driver account. And then I just kind of, anything I got into, like my fitness, my weightlifting, I became Storm Cab Fitness, and for the birding, Storm Cab Birds. I just thought keep it all under the same umbrella. It's recognizable, it stands out, because people who use their name, I find, if you're a Paul Smith or a John Clark, it's just an ordinary name, whereas Storm Cab Birds, you remember that. And I mean, I've been quite far outside of London on the coast, and somebody's walked up and seen the black cab and went, you're Storm Cab Birds. So there you go. It helps you stand out a bit. I'll use that. Yeah, back to the outflow. No. Just Canada geese. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Nothing going on. No. There's no way I'm searching for those. No way I'm searching for the Franklin and all that. There must be about 300, 400 black-headed. Nope, that's not my thing. Anyway, where was I? So a couple of cyclists saying hello. Yeah, my family is Scottish on one side, and then I grew up in a council estate. I had a lot of African and West Indian friends, Spanish friend, Irish friend. And then obviously, the Glaswegian come from my mum, the films I watched. And then when I went to secondary school, high school for you American guys, I played basketball with an American guy who was a student who'd come over. For 5 years, I played every lunchtime. So I picked up all his little mannerisms and things like that. And then I went and did A-levels and it became more middle class. So my accent is all over the place. It's kind of, yeah, it's a mishmash of stuff. And I, for instance, with the Australian thing, I'll, instead of saying no problem or don't worry about it, I'll say no worries. Always, that's what I do. That sounds like a reed warbler. I don't know how loud this is being picked up on the mic. Well, I certainly waffled a lot there. But hey ho, just keep it real, just, you know, try not to hide anything. Like I say, trying to improve. Again, yeah, I think I don't want to go too far into the well-spoken BBC presenter because that's been done 1,000 times. I want my videos to be different. You know, I see vloggers, they do everybody does the same sort of, you know, they have intro, they have music overlay, lots of B-roll, you know, them walking in mud and in grass and going through fences. And they do the sort of usual BBC presenter style of talking and presenting and introducing the birds. And I thought, you know, just keep it a little bit more, I don't want to say street, but you will notice if you watch my stuff, I will say, you know, things like, what a banger, and that's game changer. And, you know, I'll really lean into it. What's that? No, that's just a very colourful mallard, I think. Yeah, some of these mallards, they get some real weird colours. Oh look, and remember I did, if you haven't seen it, I did a bird ID video which tells you about the field marks, all the different Latin terms and names of the bird, all the bits of the bird. And those are I've forgotten the name of them now, speculum, these kind of coloured wing bars on the secondaries of things like white-cheeked pintails, gadwall. Is it gadwall? I think it was, no, let me get this right, widgeon and mallards. So good, I know those. There's the auriculas and the alulas, and yeah, I do remember them now. Since I did the video, I've remembered all the terms. And I'm just looking, there's a walkway, a kind of metal walkway down to the water, which is obviously locked off, but all of the ducks are resting up on the bars. And it looks like teal and gadwall, female. Those legs are very, very orange. And the sun is now coming out and starting to cook me a bit. So, are we still recording? Yes. I'm going for long format because I started listening to Simon Calder. I was going through looking for some new podcasts to listen to, and I found Simon Calder, the travel guy. And I travel a lot, so I was looking to see if he'd put up anything interesting. And his podcasts are only about 7 minutes long. And I just like to sometimes have stuff playing in the background. Maybe for your, you know, for you lot, I'm talking too much, and you just want me walking along and very occasionally saying, oh, and I see a wood pigeon, or I see a sparrowhawk, or I see a this or that. Maybe that's what you want. You don't want all this talking. But I'll put this out and give me the feedback. The only reason I'm talking as much, I'm literally just trying to fill the space. Seen a little egret in the tree in the reserve from the river wall. What I will do is I will go around this. I won't go back through the reserve. I'm going to go around the building and see if the peregrines are there, just so there's some different scenery, and I can tell you what's going on around that side too. And on the left there are reeds, a big reed bed that I think it was 3-4 years ago we had our little run of reedlings, bearded tits in winter time. It gave me some fantastic photos, just feeding in front of me for about an hour. It's getting very windy now, but I'm sure that the DJI mic is amazing, can get through anything. Again, like I said, I'm just talking to fill the gaps because I don't want this to be just lots of silence. If it's very busy with birds, I'll let the birds fill in the spaces with their music and their song. No, white butterflies. I don't know how long this construction is going to go on for. But it's always, at the moment, it is definitely better to come on a Sunday. Saturday, they're a little quieter as well, but Sunday is when they're much more quiet and the construction almost comes to, I mean, I was here yesterday and there were a few people around, but nowhere near this kind of movement and noise. I don't know how much longer this is going to be, but there has definitely been a noticeable drop in bird numbers since this noise has been going on. Obviously, birds do not like this level of noise. And the ones that are here are just putting up with it. They know it's not a threat. Anytime something's dropped or there's a big clang, they obviously will fly. I can't see that. From this point yesterday on the building, I could see a peregrine on the edge. Isn't there today? It's always funny watching pigeons land right nearby and the pigeons just knowing that the peregrine has no chance, even though that's his main diet. The peregrine needs a heck of a lot of speed build up, and even then they can still miss. Even pigeons are very, very maneuverable. Okay, I think those are right. You just heard that. That was an oyster catcher. So there used to be a bridge here. How can I explain? We're by the recycling centre, and there's what remains of a pier. They've taken away the actual pier and left the wooden stands. And there's an oyster catcher. It likes to roost there when the tide is in, and that is there are definitely two greater black-backed gulls. The greater one is perched on the ironwork behind. And then a second one flew in and this oyster catcher was not happy. It was getting so close. But yeah, there it is. I'm just looking at it through my bins. Pink legs, very black back. And it's looks like twice to 3 times as big as an oyster catcher. And just keeping them peeled, looking up, because at this point I'd seen a red kite here a couple of months ago. It sounds like goldfinch. The goldfinch, all these plants on the front. I see, it makes me laugh. There are blackberries and raspberries growing. Goldfinch. Blackberries and raspberries, and I've seen multiple people pick them off and eat them. And I'm like, guys, that's the Thames, and that's the sewage treatment works. You have no idea what's in that soil that's going into those berries. Are you crazy? I mean, there's some on the seawall here. They actually look really nice. I'm tempted. My brain, that sort of evolutionary part of the brain that says, yeah, fruit, get some fruit, that's good stuff. Yeah, if I'm in the middle of the countryside, but I'm not eating it right on the edge of the Thames. Anything could have been sunken into that mud or soil. Any kind of, no, I don't even want to think about it. Black-headed gull, yeah. So we've got cyclists coming up and there's a motorbike beeping. 2 people on the bike, looking very shifty. This is probably an escape route for something. Don't judge, Justin, don't judge. Oh, hang on, I just turned for a second. I saw something that could be the head of a seal out in the middle of the water. It was very brief. I'm often right, but I'll keep looking back because it's gone now. Usually what I find with the seals is if they go underwater, it can take about 5 minutes for them to come back up. There was one point 2-3 years ago that I would guarantee to see one every time I came down here. Now, what are those flying across the water? I don't know, some sort of waterfowl going to the other side. Yeah, they go with all the private jet. All the birds flip between the north side and the south side of the Thames here. is that a magpie? No. Yep, magpie. Yeah, the oyster catchers, I haven't, up to a couple of years ago, they were really good at having chicks here. And I've not seen any for a couple of years. There's definitely been some changes. Certain birds like the common shell duck, they do really well. 3 or 4 different broods. I was following, if you've been following my vlogs from here, I watched the gadwall have about 11 chicks, and over the progression of 3 or 4 visits, it went down to about 4. I mean, I assume they make handy little snacks for greater black-backed gulls when mummy isn't paying too much attention. No, nothing going on out. Let's just get the bins up again. Those are common shell duck right out there. I can see all the vans and vehicles for the Ford storage area over there. It's like a Ford factory. Yeah, nothing, no peregrines yet. Someone's got their little, what's that? Always like to check the boats. Yeah, somebody's living their best life. A nice little cruiser, private cruiser going down the Thames. That's a crow. Definitely had ravens here. I think about 2 years ago, I got one flying over, had a rodent in its beak. Yeah, it's interesting what I've seen eating things I didn't expect them to eat. Different birds. A black-headed gull at Elmley eating a lapwing chick. Canada goose. Now the water's much. I can see, yeah, I'm just coming up to the east side of the recycling plant. There are no peregrines up there. Yeah, there's a brood of common shell duck chicks up, all resting. Try not to spook them so they can carry on resting. I think mum's spotted me, so we'll keep our head in. Oh yeah, there's a peregrine up there. Almost the spot I saw it yesterday. Yep. So it's nice. I had my run of peregrine falcons. Go and look, the last couple, about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I uploaded 3 vlogs. I found a peregrine nest locally to me in Bexley Heath back in May, and I filmed the chicks. They disappeared. Actually, that's as much as I'll say, so watch the vlogs, because otherwise I'll give the game away. But I filmed them. I filmed, a nest and peregrines. 3 vlogs about 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen the Cape shelduck. Now, I'm at this pier on the east side of the recycling centre, and the last time I saw it, it was roosting. Sleeping. Nope, I don't see it. I don't know where it's gone. Maybe we'll get 2 peregrines. I don't know if they've had any chicks, because I haven't been down much this summer. Yeah, the tide is pretty much in now. There's nothing to see on the waterfront. Nice to be out though. I've got some content. I can get home. Let me see what the time is, because I've got to see, when you go out, you've got to consider things like the school run. Okay, so it's about 9 minutes past 3, and that's just picking up from school. So I don't want to rush home yet, because I'll be stuck in that traffic. Yeah. These are things over time, you start learning things like school kicking out time, the tide times of places. There's no point going somewhere and the tide's going to be far out and you won't get anything. So try and time it so that the tide is about 3 hours away. So by the time you get there, the water coming in will push all the birds that are feeding on the mud in, and you get your better shots. Or get there just as the tide is going out, and as the birds start arriving. For instance, if you ever go to Sheerness, Shellness on the Isle of Sheppey, you'll be sitting there with the tide up, and over the progression of an hour, you just get all the black-tailed godwits and sandpipers and plovers flying in. Yeah, so just at the moment, I'm looking up at the right of the factory. I've gone around the back of it. There's 1 peregrine falcon at the moment. Yeah, everything's so grown, so can't see anything much. This is why you kind of like, you in the winter, you want the summer because you want the light and the longer days. But you quickly realize that winter often is better because you can see none of the plants have any leaves on them, trees and bushes. What are you? You're feral pigeons? Have any leaves on, so you can photograph anything in them. You can see things a lot easier. Once a bird goes into a tree in the summer, it's gone. It's either you can't see it, or because of the different contrasting lights, some really harsh shadows, some really strong sunlight, it's not worth taking the picture. Yeah, if you look at the building from this angle, I'm facing the building, the east-facing wall. You can see all the little poop strips from where the peregrines have been. I thought it'd be a lot worse, actually. But then again, actually, the wall is made up of like this silver and this blue stripe, and the blue stripe doesn't have much. But you can see on the silver, there's a lot more poop. It obviously hits the wall earlier, and against the silver, it's going to be more invisible. That's the most boring thing I've ever said. And I was just trying to fill the space till I get back to my cab. But this path, there's a path around the back of the recycling centre. If you know the area, there's a lot of vegetation, and there can be dunnocks, blackcaps, goldfinch. But again, in the summer with this wind, when it's windy, forget photography. Birds don't like the wind. I'll often just come out and, even you've just got to keep going out to increase your chances of something. I'm still waiting for that great bit of viral footage that's going to set me off to the big time. Something eating something. I noticed I do a lot of research online. What are people wanting to look at? What videos are getting the big views? And one of the recent ones is even really rubbish footage, like on a phone camera, of a peregrine falcon swooping. So here I am getting footage of peregrine falcons just perched, pin sharp, full frame, fitting the frame, and getting 1,000 views if I'm lucky. And here's someone with some horrible phone camera footage filming the peregrine taking a dive, and it's got 1.5 million views. Yeah, trying to figure out the algorithm. Yes, it's a funny. I personally don't think there's a way to do it. I mean, I do a lot of research online, and I see people who've got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and most of their stuff only gets 10 to 15,000 views, and then you get the occasional one that goes 100, 150, 200,000, and it's the same with small channels. They'll be getting 500 views, 300 views, and then they'll have one that takes 47,000. And it goes to show it's not your subscribers, it is your content. If for whatever reason that bit of content hits the right note, the right wave pattern with society or whatever, the algorithm, it just flows. And who knows how the algorithm works. At the moment, I'm just putting out loads of content, hoping that something takes off. Trying to figure out what people want to see. Well, I know they don't really want to look at. I thought they would. I've done a lot of filming of birds, just footage of birds like hoopoo and things like that. And I thought that'll get loads of views. I put it up and it's like 500 views. This great footage of a hoopoo. I'm like, okay, why are you not interested? Yeah, no, I think the only footage that kind of ever did well, slightly, was odd things. Like I think I got a stock dove which got 2,000 views, a singing reed warbler that was only singing for about 40 seconds, that got 3,000 views. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out. I suppose you just got to spend a lot of time looking at things. Okay, right, start cross-referencing all these videos. That one does well, that one did well. But there does seem to be no rhyme or reason why somebody would click on something. I put a lot of effort into my thumbnails. That was the big one. They always said, oh no, the thumbnails have got to be brilliant. And then I see videos that get hundreds of thousands of views with the most basic rubbish thumbnail. So I know that's nonsense. And I said this to someone who was in marketing or something, and he said, yeah, it's the thumbnail. And I said to him, I don't think it is. I said, I've looked at loads. I've seen people just taking a sort of selfie, a wide angle selfie on their phone and using that as their thumbnail with some really awful lettering and million views. And then, you know, I've seen some of the vlogs saying, yeah, people spend, some YouTubers spend more time on their thumbnail than they do on the vlog itself. And I think it's just, for my guess is that it's how people interact at the beginning. If people start watching and they stay on, that's what the algorithm picks up, and it knows when people have stopped watching. It's like, I'm not interested. And that happens one too many times, it stops putting your stuff out there. But if they figure something out, if people just watch and then rewatch and then rewatch, maybe they bump it up the system quickly. And this all happens in microseconds that are undetectable to us. You know, but then, you know, I've done videos that did well, and then I've kind of sort of did the same thing in a different way, and it didn't happen. I'm like, okay, maybe it doesn't like the same thing being talked about. But this is why I've gone onto these podcasts, because I'm trying to work it from a different angle. Because I know the people are out there who want to watch content, because there are big, I think the name is Mark Smith, he's based in America, he does all the Osprey and Eagle stuff, and obviously, yeah, Osprey and Eagle stuff are a lot more interesting than Dunnocks and Chiffchaffs. But they're getting viewers, they're getting millions of views, and I'm sure that's not just ordinary people. They're going to be millions of birders, there's surely millions of birders, and it just must be the case if they don't know of my channel. There's so much content out there, how they're going to find it. So if I spread myself across multiple platforms, I've even started uploading back again to Instagram and TikTok, even though I get hardly anything on there. It's just literally to do a cross accounts, cross social media, so that my name is across multiple algorithms and websites and things like that, so I get seen by more people. Yeah, because I mean, I can't see me. I'd like to do this for a living, basically, but I've got to earn a certain minimal amount to give up the cabbing. And if I give up the cabbing, I can bring you more content. I can travel more, I can do more vlogs, because going to work at night means that's time I could have been editing what I filmed that day. So what I filmed that day might take 2 days to do because I've got to work. So yeah, the dream would be to give up and do this all the time as a job. And it is a lot of work, but it's also, it becomes, I'm doing this anyway as a hobby. So why not do something with it and make something of it? And the more I do it, the more professional I get at it. Nearly back of the car now, nothing much else happening. No buzzers like there was yesterday. No, there were yesterday. But it's very noisy along here. Yeah, quiet summer. I'm looking forward to the winter. And I haven't got any travel plans at the moment. So I'm still looking, the prices are a bit silly, especially in summer. We never travel in summer for two reasons. Obviously, everywhere's too hot and the prices go up 4 or 5 times. I remember, well, I think we went to Cancun a couple of years ago, and by traveling 3 days after the end of summer, I remember looking at the price at the last week of summer and then the price when we went. And the price before we went was 5 times as much. 5 times. And so, yeah. So you're going to think, well, people might go on that one holiday in the summer, and that will pay for about 6 holidays during the year for me. Okay, well, that was a nice walk. The sun is behind a cloud, and that's quite pleasant. The wind it's going to be windy and rainy tomorrow. I probably will try and go out because it's going to be sunny for the rest of the week. Pigeons, yeah, nothing. Yeah, so please don't forget to give me some feedback. Like I said, I don't even know if this will even make it up. If I've got something wrong, maybe they'll say, oh, the format's wrong, or what you need to do is this or that. But I've had a look at other podcasts and it sounds pretty basic. It's just people talking, you put it out there. And that was quite easy. If I do it in nature, obviously I'm not going to walk through a town centre because obviously people are used to seeing people talking to themselves on mobile phones. But in nature it's a lot easier because I can just talk the whole time. But yeah, the DJI mic I'm talking into cuts a lot of the background sound out. So maybe I've got to find a system that keeps in more of the the background sound. So if it's a bit of a quieter day, not so much wind, it'll pick up all of the bird song, because it'd be really nice for you lot to hear that. And I can quietly just come in and say, oh, over there there's a curlew sandpiper, and I've just seen a whimbrel. Oh look, and there's a little tern coming in or something like that. Speak quietly so I'm not interrupting the bird calls. Right, so now usually there'd be a wren here or a goldfinch singing. Very quiet times indeed. Yeah, somebody did comment, blackbird, and we go, where did that take off from? If somebody that's bought me a couple of coffees from Australia said I've been putting up a lot of product reviews and stuff like that, and he says he doesn't like that so much, and obviously he said I can understand that it won't be as busy for birds right now, and I said yeah, that's basically what it is, or else I'll be doing a few more vlogs. So I try to put up technical specs and reviews and gear stuff just to keep my content going out, my name out there, and my editing skills up to scratch. Just gets sharper, and I get faster at it. Right, so I think we'll end it there. I'm about to get back in my cab, so I'm just going to take everything apart, and I hope you enjoyed that. So yeah, what they normally say at the end of the podcast is go check out Stormcab Birds on YouTube and on Instagram, but mostly on X. Instagram, I don't get any traction on there, but X is very good. I've done pretty well on X. And any messages, anything, let me know. And it's a bit begging, but my buy me a coffee thing is Stormcab Birds as well. Buy me a coffee. It all goes towards a few people have done it for me. Thank you. I'll thank you guys again. And pays for fuel for the day, or pays for my lunch, and come and I do all the work, because I'm basically doing it for everything for free and just for the love of it. And to keep it up, and or even to bring you more stuff and better stuff, more focused stuff. I'd like to make a living from this, definitely. Okay, I will speak to you next time.